My name is Jim Wade. I'm a tax attorney here in Maine, and I help taxpayers resolve their IRS tax debts once and for all. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about, again, IRS tax levies, but specifically how to respond to a levy if you have been levied by the IRS. So let's get started. So first, we've talked in the last two videos about tax levies. That is where the IRS seizes property, typically in the form of seizing money that's in your bank account or garnishing your wages, but can also take the form of seizing Social Security benefits or trying to seize money owed to you by customers, clients, and patients. So in this episode, we assume you have been levied. We'll just go off the premise that it's the most typical levy of all. Money's been taken out of your bank account. All right, so what do? Now, first thing, make sure that the IRS is the one that has levied you. Oftentimes, someone will call me up, say they've been levied, they assume it's the Internal Revenue Service, then I have them contact the bank and find out it's either, because I'm in Maine Revenue Service, or in some cases been a credit card company or some other creditor of theirs. So make sure it's the IRS first. But if you know that it's the IRS, you can either call the IRS on the number. It should be one of the notices you've received. In the first episode, we talked about the sequence of letters you'll receive. On one of those, you'll find a phone number to call. It often is the 800-829-1040, but they sometimes have other numbers. Call either the notice number or that number. What you want to do is you want to talk to the IRS agents and say, look, I've just been levied. They will often have that information available to them and say, look, I need these funds. The agent will then see if there's anything that they need from you as far as missing returns. I don't know everything that the IRS will ask for, but usually if there's something that they want, they'll ask you for it. Then they will also ask you to provide what they call collection information statement to get you set up in some sort of payment arrangement. And that's a payment plan, offering compromise, hardship status. Those are the biggies. But the idea is to get you into something. Now, the IRS isn't going to necessarily, give you a date that is long into the future. Sometimes they'll only give you like 14 days. You want to ask for at least 30 days. It's a little bit harder than it sounds to get information together to put together this, what they call a collection information statement or Form 433. So I always say ask for 30 days, and more often than not, they'll grant it. But you also want to let them know, hey, this levy, the money you've taken from me, I need it. It has to be a hardship. I need it for gas. I need it for rent. I need it for a mortgage payment. If you're in business, I need it for payroll. If it's merely an inconvenience, let's say you're $1 million company and the IRS levies $500, they're not going to give you your money back. But if you're someone who is middle to lower class, you need the money, you let them know why you need it, they should release the money back to you. If not, if they don't release all of it, at least try to get some amount back that you can use to make your most essential payments. Now, if they're not going to release the funds at all, or the amount that they'll release to you is not going to be enough for you to pay your bills, your essential bills, talk to the manager. Say, I want to talk to your manager. If you talk to the agent's manager and you still don't get satisfaction, ask to speak to the manager's manager. You can go up several levels to try to talk, to someone to see if you can't get them to act reasonably. Now, notice I said reasonably. If you are being unreasonable, you can go up as many layers as you want. You're not going to likely get the answer you want to hear. So, circling back around, if they've taken money and you need it for essentials, be prepared to support it. Hey, I got to fill my tank. I drive, 30 miles to work every day, and that's going to take how many gallons of gas? I need this much money to pay the bill for the next month, or I got rent of $500. offer to send them a copy of the lease. They can see, hey, it's $500. Mortgage payment, send them a mortgage statement. If you're a business, you got a payroll deposit you need to make, have that calculated, how much you need. They should release those funds. What the IRS uses the levy for is to get compliance out of you, to get you to do something. You have ignored them up to this point. They've levied you to make you uncomfortable so that you will set up some sort of payment arrangement for them. So assure them you are going to give them what they need, ask for at least 30 days, then show them why you need the money released. You should be okay. If not, go to management. So let's talk about Dave. It's always better to talk about these things sort of in more concrete terms by going through somewhat an actual case. So I know I talked about this 2 videos ago, so let's just quick reminder on Dave. Dave, business owner, he owed, I think it's about $90,000 in payroll taxes from back years, and he had worked with a national firm to resolve his income and payroll tax debts, but for whatever reason they only took care of income and not payroll, so the IRS levied him. And they levied his bank account right before payroll was due on Friday. I think it was on a Monday or a Tuesday. And they took about $2,600. And he needed about $2,300 to make payroll. So I said, I'm going to call the IRS for you, but what I need for you first is how much do we need to make the deposit? They gave me the figure. I called the IRS agent. In this case, it was a revenue officer, meaning someone who is local to me. Called him up, told him we wanted to get this taken care of. IRS agent agreed to release the amount necessary for the deposit, and we said, okay, we will get you everything you need in 30 days because IRS just wanted a payment plan for the payroll taxes in addition to the income taxes. The IRS then quickly faxed a release to the bank. Money was released back into the account. They could make payroll. We were able to, within the next 30 days, get the stuff together. We set up a payment plan, and now Dave is protected against future levies because once you're in a payment plan, the IRS cannot levy your bank account. Just make that clear. We're going to talk about that in the next episode about how to prevent levies. Once you're in some sort of payment arrangement, it protects you from future levies. That's why it's so important to work something out with the IRS. And an added bonus, we were able to find a bunch of stuff that he was doing wrong that cost him money. Too complicated to go into right now, but we were able to sort of work together to get it fixed. So sometimes working with a professional can be helpful to find some other areas where maybe you can get some help to sort of mitigate some of the damage done by a tax levy. So the next post, we've talked about what levies are, what levies can get at, and in this episode, we talked about how to sort of resolve a levy if one has been placed against you. Next episode, we're going to talk about how to avoid them in the first place. So with that, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.